But if I take the time and take care of myself and build this and do what I know this can do, well, then it's tenfold what I can turn around and get back if and when I choose to. You get out of it what you put into it. So if you're just going to sit on the sideline and watch, well, you're not getting the full benefit. It just gives you complete freedom to do how much you want to do, how little you want to do, what type of trades you want to do. It's just that the flexibility is there and the possibilities to me are just absolutely endless.
When I say we are not here to just watch numbers go up and down on a digital bank account, send the profits out and do something to change your real life.
And to me, I mean, the beauty of the stock market is it doesn't care. It doesn't care what your profession is. It doesn't care what your age is. It doesn't matter. It's open to absolutely anybody that's willing to put in the time and learn it.
We are all on our own timetable, and Sherri has to do Sherri, and everyone listening has to do them.
I think everybody needs to be aware that the game has changed. You can now be part of it.
Awesome. So let's get into it. So I'm excited to have you on the podcast just because you've been, not just because, but you've been have been becoming a force in the community, which I told you the other day. And I can really see like your growth from when you started to starting to be one of the ones that are really asking people, why are you trading that? Have you looked at this? What are you thinking about? And this is so, I don't know if you feel it, but I feel proud to see that type of growth. And sometimes growing isn't always about making money, although we're here to make money. So walk me through, what did it look like when you first was like, I want to learn about the stock market, however long ago that was? Like, what was that moment for you where you said, I want to take control of my own finances, and how do I make this work? What was that time like in your life, and what brought you to the stock market?
I'm gonna take you way back, and I'll do it briefly, but way back.
We got time. We got
in,
time. That's why we're here.
I mean, single mother with 2 kids. So money was always an issue. How do I pay my bills? How do I raise kids? How do I have extra, whatnot? So money was always a hot topic. And how do I get extra? And so there was an advertisement. This is, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago. Show up in a hotel, sit in a seminar for a couple days, learn how to trade. I'm like, okay. I had a friend that was offered to babysit for the 2 days. So I went to the seminar and I was hooked. I was just fascinated with the charts and the potential. It's like, you can do this. I didn't know that me as an individual could just do my own trading, and I had no idea. So it really opened up my eyes to what was possible. And then at the end of the seminar, we got a special for you. Write a $5,000 check and the course is yours, and whatever. And I didn't have it. There was no way I could put together credit cards or whatever. I didn't have it. And so I walked away thinking this is a bait and switch, mad. Like, stock market is terrible. I took it as the fact that I couldn't necessarily pay for the course, as just the whole experience was soured. And that was it. That was it for 20 years. And fast forward to 2020, world's coming to an end. Everybody's worrying about what's going to happen. Everybody's talking about the market. And that just sort of reignited that curiosity again. I'm like, well, 20 years ago, I was interested. Things have changed. Technology's changed. People are talking about Robinhood and all this just quick and easy access. What's this all about? Let me look at it. And what's changed dramatically now is there's so much information at your fingertips. There's so much out there. Yeah. And in the beginning of May of 2020, I found your YouTube channel.
Okay.
And I binge watched, because this is what I do, just personality wise. When I get interested in something, I go 110% until I feel like I've learned it. And so I sat and watched every one of your YouTube videos, and oh, is this enough for me to learn? Can I just do this with the YouTube videos? And then I downloaded a trading account and I start looking like, how do I place a trade? I'm like, no, it's not enough. I need more. It wasn't quite enough, but Then literally like 2 weeks later, it was Mother's Day of 2020. That my kids are now grown. I'm interested in this. It's time. This is my time. I'm going to figure this out. And that was my Mother's Day gift to myself in 2020 was buying your course in your program. So,
Wow. So super interesting to think that 20 years prior, 20 plus years prior, you're sitting in the hotel, you're excited about this industry, and you said something that I think is very important that people really internalize and hear. You said because you couldn't afford it, you took it as this whole thing is a scam, it's a bait and switch. And it made me think about how much we try to protect ourselves when the real issue is like, I'm either pissed because I can't afford it, I'm embarrassed, I can't believe I can't afford it. And instead of that being the issue was like, this is a scam. Why do they charge that much?
yeah,
But then 20 years later, you come back around and you give yourself the same gift that you couldn't give yourself 20 years ago. That has to feel good.
yeah, yeah. And what
That is
what's
just
what's
epic.
kind of the catalyst for me saying, okay, let me do the podcast is because your whole program, even the name of it, Power Trade University. Well, university is typically a 4-year degree, usually 5. But so we are now May 2024. So I now consider myself, I'm a senior and I'm the graduating class of Power Trades University.
Right, because you
So
start in 2020 and
yeah,
four
so
years
this is my
later.
senior year.
That is so epic. That is so epic. And so you gave yourself a gift. I just want to unpack that for a second because so many people, I was reading one of the things you wrote when you filled out the form to be on the podcast, is that you wrote like, I'm so used to working and giving all my money to my kids or other people, and finally you
Mhm.
decided to do something for yourself. What was the trigger that made you finally do something for yourself? Because I tell people, I wouldn't say all the time, that would be an exaggeration, but around the holidays, I tell people, like, instead of buying a bunch of gifts for everybody, tell them I'm doing something different this year. I'm investing in myself. I'm taking a stock market course, or I'm going
Yeah.
to save this 1,000, 2,000, start my investment account for once. So many people have this mindset like, I can't let the kids down. I cannot not give gifts, not realizing like you're the most important person to give a gift to. And if you master this, you'll be able to give gifts not just on Christmas, not just on a birthday, but whenever you want because you have this new skill. But what was it that made you, and maybe you're just like, I just had enough money to give myself a gift, but what was it that finally
No,
made you say, I'm investing in myself versus the kids or in everybody else?
well, I think part of it, I mean, everybody's got stories and histories and skeletons and things. And so, I had some issues back in '08 with all of that and losing a house and just issues. And so, kind of the fear of 2020, like, oh my gosh, if I lose another job, again, being single, everything in your entire life is on you. If you're married, if a spouse loses a job or is laid off, you at least have a second income. So that's always been just, I guess, fear. And I hate that fear drives some decisions, but it was a major fear of what does the world look like when we were facing everything in 2020. And so that was part of the catalyst for I need to figure something out. I need a secondary backup plan. But there was also too just, I think, time. The kids were out of the house. And that shouldn't be the time, but the kids were grown and it's like, I can't keep giving to them. It was just the realization that I'm getting older, I'm getting closer to retirement. And kind of like you said, if I don't take care of myself, there's not going to be anything to give. But if I take the time and take care of myself and build this and do what I know this can do, well, then it's tenfold what I can turn around and give back if and when I choose to. But yeah,
Yeah,
there wasn't like there was a pile of money sitting, oh, this is easy, let me just scratch this check and we're good and sign up. It was still a pretty big commitment and a decision, and I still had debt, but I think it was honestly, I think it was a little bit of fear of I got to figure something out.
yeah, but fear sometimes is such a powerful emotion because I was afraid, similar to you, I was afraid what would happen if I didn't do this, if I didn't learn this. When I took that $10,000 student loan, I can almost tell you every time the number one question I get asked is, weren't you scared to take that, to borrow that money? And I tell people I was scared not to borrow it and put it in the stock market because I'm around drugs, gangs, people
Yeah.
stealing our car. I mean, I was around some stuff that you just like, really? This is my life? Now, at the time, I thought it was normal. I thought everybody was around that stuff. But as I was like, wait a minute, everybody don't live like this? So I was afraid not to do it. And that's what I'm hearing is that sometimes fear can be powerful if used to motivate you, not used to
Yeah.
keep you down. Because some people use it the
Yeah.
opposite way. What if I
Yeah.
invest in this program and I don't do anything with it and I lost the money or
Yeah.
what, and
Yeah.
so they go
Yeah.
negative with it. You use
Well,
that fear to push you to do something positive.
I sat there and said, okay, I have my job. I have a decent job. So if I want to make more income, if I want to add to my retirement, prepare, it's a little bit late. I should have started 20 years ago, but here we are. How do you get it? Well, what are your choices? And go work at, flip burgers as a part-time job, or, and nothing, again, nothing to knock people that do that, but it's like, that's not going to get me where I need to go. So I don't care what kind of part-time job I add to it. The stock market was the only option I could see that actually gave me the potential that I wanted,
Love it.
unlimited potential.
And that's the ability to analyze risks, whether you knew it or not. You're taking risk and reward and you're already analyzing it. You're like, hey, if I don't do this, how am I going to make up for lost times? How am I going to get my retirement back on track? And then if I do this, I might not have to ever worry about retirement again. And so here you are 4 years later in the game, and one of the, dare I say, one of the top students, at least from knowledge standpoint and supporting in the trading rooms out here. You're one of the ones that's always starting the conversation, responding to other people in there. And so you can definitely see the impact of making that decision. And I know you got to be proud that you actually know what you're talking about
Yeah.
now. Like,
Yeah, that's one of my personal pet peeves. Doesn't mean that's kind of the binging thing. It's like, all right, I don't like to be the one that doesn't know. So if there's a subject that I want to learn, I'm going to sit down and figure it out and learn it. So I took that same approach here.
so normally the men in our forum, I would say the men are probably the ones who answer the most questions. Women ask questions, but they don't answer the most. How does it feel being one of the women that can also answer the question? Because I know we got like Kelvin in there, Michael Anthony, a couple people who
Yeah.
they always give really good responses, but like now it's like, boom, like the girls are taking, I should say the ladies, the girls, the ladies are taking, are
Yeah.
like, we here too. So how does that feel to
Yeah.
be one of the ladies leading that charge and like not sitting on the sideline, but you like, no, I got an opinion on this chart, this stock, this strategy as well. How does that, yeah, talk to me.
Well, just me personally, personality that, I mean, Sherri not having an opinion is a rare day. I always have an opinion. I always have something to say. I don't have much of a filter, as you're aware. It just comes out and it is what it is. But I do like to know what I'm talking about before I put it out there. And so when I started, I posted a few things. I'm like, is that right? I don't know. Did I give that right? And oh gosh, I'd hate to look back and find that this to be wrong. So I stopped. And that was a huge, I should have kept going, because what I've realized all of this time later is that the process of putting yourself out there and the process of posting and saying, this is how a credit spread works. This is the one you would buy. This is the one you would sell. This is how it works. Here's all the details. The process of writing that out is just reinforcing that, yeah, you do know what you're talking about. And so that act of participating has been probably one of the biggest catalysts for me to just know myself and have the confidence that, yeah, I have learned this material. I do know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and they say you don't know a thing until you can teach a thing. And so as you not just ask questions, but you answer questions, it forces you to ask yourself, do I really know what I'm talking about? Did I say that
Exactly.
right? Did I know my
Exactly.
strike price and break even right? And so
Yep.
you're actually helping yourself by typing out
Exactly.
those answers sometimes. And if
Yeah.
you're wrong and someone calls you out on it, they don't call you out, but they're like, I think you got those numbers backwards. You even go, oh, you know what? Won't make that mistake again. But if you
Yeah.
never put
Yeah.
yourself out there, you don't know it.
Yeah. I think there's something that some sort of phrase out there, if you want to learn something, teach it, like you said. And that's really the approach I took for learning it, but also, again, being a single mother, single person, single, it is just me responsible for my life and my bank account. And so putting yourself out there is also kind of giving myself accountability. Like, I'm in this trade. This is my thought process. This is what I'm doing. Because again, the moment you put that out there in a public space, well, now that's what it is. You better stick to it.
Yeah, and what I love about putting themselves out there is normally society. I know when I was in school, I'm sure it was in most schools, right? You ask a question, kids laugh at you, or you don't ask a question because you quote unquote don't want to look dumb. And what happens is from a child or an adolescent in high school to college to coming into a university like Power Trade University, we still we always say like there's no dumb questions. Like you paid money to be here. Please ask your questions. But there's still that I don't want to say stinking thinking, but it's still that old school thought that like
Yeah.
I don't want to look stupid. And we remember looking stupid. We remember other kids, and we didn't
Yeah.
look stupid. The cool kids were the one that was actually stupid, trying to laugh at everybody. But they put that fear into us so that we don't ask questions. Now you come here where you're supposed to ask questions and you don't. And so I'm kind of glad you had that breakthrough moment where you said you stopped asking questions and then you got back to it and was like, okay, let me put myself out here and then be accountable to the community because that's how we all rise. I always say I
Yeah.
got 2 eyeballs. Me and my coaches, 2, 4, 6 eyeballs, whatever the case may be. We as a community, when we all chime in, we got thousands of eyeballs,
Yeah.
thousands of eyes on the chart looking for different stocks. But when only 50 people talk, it's like, well, what
Yeah.
happened to the other 900? It's like, we
No.
just lost that many more brains. So I hope more people are encouraged to participate, whether it's in our community or any community that
Yeah.
they're in, and realize that's the benefit of being there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my confidence soared the moment I started doing that because you get the reinforcement of, oh, I guess that was right. Okay. Somebody liked that and said, yeah, thank you. And that's good. So again, the reinforcement, it's been very, very good. And I
Yeah,
think like anything else that you get out of it, what you put into it. So if you're just going to sit on the sideline and watch, well, you're not getting the full benefit.
absolutely. You're really not. You can do that, but the benefit is asking questions, sharing your thoughts, diving in, and realizing that we all are here out of love and good energy because we don't even allow no foolishness in our forums. Like if somebody's
Yeah.
cussing, using profanity, or saying, why'd you ask that? It's like we will flag them and give them a warning. They get 3 of those. It's like you out of here. I remember this one young lady messaged me on Instagram one time. I never forget this either because she said I never forget, she bought an out of the money, like a $10 out of the money Apple option, like on a Monday that expires Friday. And I said, well, how much money did you pay for it? She's like, 500 bucks. I'm like, yeah, but how much was the option? She was like 10 cents. So she bought, I guess what, 50 of them at 10 cents or
Yeah.
500,
Yeah.
whatever the number is. She bought as
Yeah.
much as she could buy at 10 cents. I guess she bought what, 5,000 at 10 cents? That would be 500 bucks, something like that. And I never forget this. I said, because she reached out to me because she was part of another community. And I said, what made you do that? And she was like, well, in this community, they just teach you to buy the cheapest one that you can buy. And I said, well, it's cheap for a reason. What's the chance Apple gonna move $10 by Friday and no earnings is coming out, no news is coming out? And
Yeah.
she said, I asked that in the forum and they made me feel stupid for asking a question, and I stopped asking questions after that because they would make you feel stupid. That's why I reached out to you on Instagram. And I thought, how many people out there are blowing through their last $500, their last $2,000 because they're part of a community where the teacher or the coach has created an environment where they try to make people feel stupid because maybe they don't even know the answer. And they're
Right.
just teaching some random stuff they learned in the pandemic because they just got lucky. Because, everything was going up. You could have bought anything. And if you waited a couple weeks, you're like, oh, it went up. And so maybe that's what they were taught during the pandemic. But I never forgot that. And I was like, not in my community. Like,
It was a
questions
$500
are
lesson
allowed.
for her.
Yeah. Well, I think it was $1 million lesson. And the
Yeah.
reason I say that is because she got knocked out of the game after that. After I explained to her that she
Mhm.
just made a $500 donation and that option was probably going to expire worthless, which it did. I remember messaging like, hey, if you want to come over here and check us out, I'll give you 30 days for free. She was just like, I think I'm going to take a break. I don't know if trading is for me. And that just kind of broke my heart because I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
where she could have went. And actually, it doesn't matter that she was a dancer, a stripper. She was a dancer out of Miami that happened to reach out to me. She said someone else referred my name to her or somewhere. She came across me on Instagram. And the reason I'm bringing that up is just because, not because she's a dancer, but because also knowing that profession, she was probably looking for a way to diversify her income, maybe get out of
Yeah.
that profession someday. And so now it double hurt that, like,
Mhm.
wow, her experience was with some idiotic community, and now she's given up an opportunity that could potentially have changed her life. And I just can't imagine how many people that happens to, and that you just never hear from again. Or when you talk to them, like, I tried something like that before, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but I
Um,
mean, the hope would be that her experience with you and the kindness you showed, that when she was ready to get back in, that she gets in. And to me, I mean, the beauty of the stock market is it doesn't care. It doesn't care what your profession is. It doesn't care what your age is. It doesn't matter. It's open to absolutely anybody that's willing to put in the time and learn it. So
Maybe she'll come back 20 years
yeah,
later like he
yeah,
did.
maybe so.
Right? Maybe I'll see her in 20 years. I'll have all gray hair and everything, but we
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
still be around.
Courses might be a little more expensive 20 years from now.
Right? Inflation, right? Well, no, they say inflation coming down. Maybe it'll be cheaper.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so walk me through one of the questions I like to ask is like, what was one of your best financial wins in the stock market? Whatever you're willing to share. What was like a financial win that you're like, whoa, I can't believe that this was possible from learning the stock market?
Well, so I'd like to share two if I can, because they're
Yeah.
two kind of completely separate parts of my journey. Is when I first started and I was learning. Again, money's emotional. I was a struggle for me. I know that I'm going to lose money in this game. Not everything's going to be a winner, but it was a struggle for me to lose money, and I was terrified of blowing up my account and making the wrong mistake, etc. So what I did was anytime that I had a profit, I pulled the money out of the account. And I used that to pay off debt, pay off the car, and use that money, make sure that it went to something rather than just sitting there waiting for me to make a mistake. And that was a huge win for me because I was learning and I was making mistakes. And, you don't get this right to start with. And so over the years, now the debt's gone, everything's paid off, I've got savings. So it's like now I have the freedom to just, okay, now I have an account that I'm just ready to build it. I don't have any obligations. I don't have the stress of, oh gosh, I got to make some money in the stock market to pay my, mortgage. I don't have that stress. So now I've got the freedom to just build it. And because of that, I now am in a position where I'm more patient. I can sit and wait for the right trade, wait for the right setup. And because I was in that position and had the knowledge and has the skill, probably one of my biggest wins was I was able to double my account size in 3 months. And I did that just between January and March of this year. So
Wow. Incredible. And I don't even know what double means. It could be 10,000 to 20, it could be 5 to 10. What's important is that
I can give you a specific figure. It was again
it
because all the money kept coming out. It was 13,000, went to 28, actually more than double. So 13 to 28 between January and March.
no, that's huge. I wanted you to share
Yeah,
whatever
yeah, it's
you
all
feel
right.
comfortable with. But that's big money though. I mean, think about
Yeah,
it. Some people wait all year to get a $2,000 tax return. You just pulled forward 5 years of tax returns in like 3 months.
Yeah.
In 3 months, which is super powerful. But even more powerful than that, you've been listening. When I say we are not here to just watch numbers go up and down on a digital bank account. Send the profits out and do something to change your real life. Pay
Yeah.
off a bill, pay off a car note, pay down the
Yeah.
credit card, do something to change your real life. So often, so many people watch the money go all the way up and then they watch it come all the way down. And at the end, they never have anything to show for it. So for you to be able to sit there and say, I paid some stuff off, I'm kind of out of debt, I'm kind of able to just wait and be patient, it actually makes you a better trader, because when you
Right.
don't have the stress of like, I can't lose this money and I need to make some money to pay my rent, you're
Yeah.
almost in a double stressful situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm in a completely different set. I mean, if you just look at the actual dollars sitting in the account that I'm trading with, it may not be huge to somebody. But again, the journey that I've taken to get here, the knowledge that I have, I mean, I know there's a thing about getting that first $100,000, and I see it. It's absolutely positive. I know that I can do it now.
Ooh, we gonna
So,
start 100K club. We should start a club and start giving out
well,
awards when people hit their first 100,000. I like that. You just
yeah,
gave me an
yeah.
idea.
But I mean, you've got to put yourself in a position for success. So again, getting rid of the debt, getting myself to a position where now I can just build it
I
was a
love
big
to
win
hear
for me.
that. And you've been with us for 4 years. I think we don't want to let that go sweep under the rug, because so many people are like, if I ain't a millionaire in 6 months, or if I ain't rich next year, they give up. But here you are saying, I've been here 4 years. I really came back 20 years after passing this up 20 years ago because I couldn't afford it. And now I'm in a point where I have used this to help me pay some of that stuff off. And now I can go for wealth. Now I can go for the big money
Yeah,
on year 5 or 4.5 now,
yeah,
going into year 5, which is just that patience. And you have a skill that will be with you for life,
right. Yeah,
right? It's not going anywhere, right? I don't get to take the skill back.
yeah. Well, I mean, I've had recent health issues. I had knee surgery and mobility issues, and again, that hasn't impacted my ability to trade. I mean, I could do this on a beach. I could do it on a cruise ship. I could do it any place that I want to take it. I mean, it just gives you complete freedom to do how much you want to do, how little you want to do, what type of trades you want to do. It's just that the flexibility is there, and the possibilities to me are just absolutely endless.
And so what's the big, I mean, it may be the same thing, but it may not be. What's a big non-financial win? Like, has nothing to do with necessarily money, but what would you say is a non-financial win from learning the stock market?
So I am a big I have a stressful job, and I'm always looking for ways to reduce stress, yoga, mindset, all that sort of thing. I had no idea that my biggest kind of therapy for that would be the stock market. And you say it all the time that who you are as a person shows up in your trading. And I saw that. I saw the little bit of greed. I saw the little bit of fear. I saw the little bit of a gambling and adrenaline junkie in there. I saw all of that. And to have to stop and say, wait a minute, this is me. I got to fix me, stop, take a break. And, it's not the knowledge, it's me, just me that I have to fix. And so 4 years later, I'm a different human being because of the stock market, which is crazy to say, but it's true.
I think it's crazy to say because people not in the stock market, when you're in it, I totally believe it. Because if you're a person, I say this all the time, often on YouTube and podcasts and in our coaching, if you're a person that likes to run yellow lights, you're the same type of person that'll come here and be like, NVIDIA got earnings today, I'm just gonna buy call options. You're a 50-50 gambler. It's like you go
Yeah,
risk your whole account for a one-time event and you don't know if it's gonna go up or down. It's the same person that runs yellow lights,
yeah,
because the reward is what you get to where you're going 30 seconds, 60 seconds earlier. The risk, you kill yourself and you kill the other person in the car because you just ran a yellow light or a red light, right?
yeah,
And so that type of person doesn't usually, they come over here and they usually gamble over here. They gamble with their life and their car. They'll come over here and they gamble. So I get it that
Yeah,
you're a different person, because if you don't fix some of those pieces of yourself,
yeah.
you're just the same person over here with money, sticking it in the slot
I,
machine, running yellow
I, I,
lights.
I struggled a bit with I guess you call it the FOMO. I mean, you're famous for posting these videos. Oh, I made, 100K today. Oh, it was a $50,000 trade, right? I mean, you're making all this money. I'm buying the exotic cars. I'm paying off the house. That's fantastic motivation. And it's all true. Of course, you've made it and I can learn from that. But for me as an individual trader coming into the university, I had to recognize and realize that I was trying to be you. Like, well, that's not,
Mm.
no, I'm not Jason, I'm Sherri. This is my game, my business. This is the types of trades that I like. I can't just blindly sit and follow what you're doing and magically think that my life is going to be yours. I've got to do my own work on me as an individual and what my trading style is, what my risk tolerance is. And that was another kind of big breakthrough. Once I realized that this is me, not just blindly following somebody else, that made a big difference in my trading.
Ooh, you said something right there. Hey, people need to rewind that part right there. You said something right there, because that's an interesting point. So one of the things I just want to comment on, that when people see I made $100,000, I made $44,000, you pay attention to how often I post that. I don't post them that often because that doesn't happen every day. I
Yeah,
might do that once a year, once every 6 months. And that means I'm patiently waiting for those opportunities, number one. Number two, I've been at this since I was 18, trying to figure this out. And you kind of made it, I think, abundantly clear. Don't come in as a new person thinking you're going to get a 20-year practice person's results. You're going to get
yeah,
your version of a result, but don't
yeah,
try to be my 20 years worth of, because I had to deal with my own fear and greed. Because people ask, how do you feel when you put $200,000 into a trade? Don't that make you nervous? And I'm like, well, I didn't wake up and just put 200 grand in a trade. My first
yeah,
trade was like $500, right? And then there
yeah,
was one that was 10,000 with the student loan, right? So we
yeah,
graduate to these
yeah,
levels, but it takes time. So I'm so glad you brought that up. We are all on our own timetable, and Sherri has to do Sherri, and everyone listening has
yeah.
to do them.
And you
Ooh.
got you got to do the work to figure out who you are. I mean, that's where the work comes in. It's who am I as a trader? What is my business model? What is my risk tolerance? What types of trades do I need? What are my goals? It's, your program is fantastic to give you the tools. Then you still have to take it and know who you are, how to use it.
I mean, we won't say no names, but we know somebody in the program who continues to kind of do the opposite and continues to blow up accounts, and it breaks your heart, because that's a
Yeah,
perfect example of someone who takes the information and still just banging their head against the wall. But that is that person's journey. I don't want to mention a race,
yeah,
sex, nothing, but that's that person's journey.
yeah,
That's also one of the reasons I stopped sharing a lot of my trades. I used to be like, oh, let me share these trades. And I thought that was helping people to be like, look how much I made. And if you look, I kind of went back to just teaching, talking about stocks, not about my account, because I think it sends the wrong message sometimes. People think either A, you're bragging, which I'm not. I'm just excited that you can even make this kind of money. Or
yeah.
B, they start to think I could never do that. And once I heard people say, well, I didn't think you helped the little people, I could never do that, I realized it was hurting more people than it was helping people, and kind of tone that down. Um, and so
Well,
yeah, it's
I think
just
it's fantastic for people to see that it's possible. People need to know it's possible. But then there is a flip side. You're not going to pay your first month membership and go do that. You got to earn it.
Yeah, very, very rare. So as we get ready to round this out, I do have two questions for you. So you came
Yeah.
to our live event. And so what was that like for you to like get on the plane, come here to Detroit to your first, well, probably your first live event since you went to that hotel room 20 years ago. What was it like to buy a ticket and say, I'm going to come hang with these strangers? and meet in
It,
person?
it was surreal. So my trading journey, oddly enough, since I'm doing this podcast, very little people in my life know that I do this. It's kind of a bit of a secret. I mean, money's not often always talked about, and how do you bridge it? And anyway, so a lot of people in my circle don't even know that I do this. So when I said I'm getting on a plane and going to Detroit, they're like, "Well, what for?" Well, I'm in Power Trades University, so that was the first question. You're a trader? What you doing that? And so just having to even have that conversation with people that didn't know I was doing it. But aside from all of that, to be in the room with a group of people that had the same goals, that found the program, that saw that it was possible, everybody in that room had the same mindset, and it was it was incredible. It was incredible because when you're not in that room, it's so easy to second guess. It's so easy to hear your friends say, what are you doing? You're wasting your time with that. That's not going to work. And, all of that negativity that's out here, to be in that room for 2 days and to feel that just positivity was a game changer.
Yeah, it was so awesome to have you. You're on one of like the testimonial videos too.
Yeah.
It was so awesome to have you
Yeah. Yeah.
there. Because I think sometimes people get scared of going to foreign places. I don't know anybody, but I have this philosophy, like whatever I'm scared of, that's typically like my North Star, meaning that's the thing that I need to do. Like if I'm
Yeah.
typically nervous to do it, I'm like, that's the thing that I need to do. If it's go be with some strangers and talk about stocks, that's probably what I need to go do.
Yeah. Yeah. It,
So
it
as
was a
we
great it was a great experience, and I'm sure the next one will be too.
I know, I'm so sad your leg with the surgery and you
Yeah.
won't be able to
Yeah.
travel as much. So, as we get ready to wrap this up, I'd love to ask you, like, what would you say, because this is like the female trader series, and we're interviewing all of
Yeah.
our female traders. Like, what would you say to other women, other females who are thinking about or looking to get into this industry? And what would you say to those who want to be in control of their finance? So, two questions. They're thinking about it. They're like, should I learn the stock market? What would you say to them?
Do it. So,
Simple.
I mean, it really is. So there's absolutely no downside. So if anybody has any interest at all, you've got hundreds of hours of free videos on YouTube. Go watch it. Go see it. Go hear what it's about. If you don't have any money for the program, that's fine. Learn what you can for free. Save up a little money, get into the program, start it out. There's absolutely no downside. There's nobody forcing you to make a trade. You can paper trade until you're ready to do it. So there's just, to me, there is absolutely nothing else that gives you the same type of financial potential. Like I said, there's no other job that I could do on the side that gives me the possibilities that the stock market opens up to me. So I think this is something I would think this should be taught in school. It should be, everybody should be aware of the potential. Everybody should be aware that they can do this. And then if you want to do it, there's nothing stopping you. You just got to put the time and effort into it. It's available to anybody that's willing to put in that time and effort.
And what would you say? I totally agree. And it should be taught more in schools of how it works in the real world. And what would you say to women who, for years who have just looked at this industry and it's always been men, and in both of our cases, always been white men. But now it's like females are traders, females are taking control of their finances. So, what would you say to the women who are now looking at people like you and saying, like, wow, it's our time, we can do this? And it doesn't matter if you start early or if you feel like you're a little later in life. What would you say to those women as we wrap up?
Again, just do it. I mean, it's just there's absolutely no reason that anybody should say no to this. I can't come up with one. It's like, I struggle. It's like, well, why would they be saying no? And I think back again to, why did I say no 20 years ago? Well, it was the cost. Okay, well, now it's free to watch your YouTubes, and the memberships are certainly, so the cost barrier is not there. The accessibility to trading The cost of the trades are a lot less. Again, this whole industry
Yeah.
has changed so much in the last, decade or so, that it is just now accessible to where it may not have been before. And that's why I said I think everybody needs to be aware that the game has changed. You can now be part of it.
Amen. I couldn't agree more. I remember when mobile, like when I first started trading, you needed to have a broker. And then online trading platforms came on. Options Express was the first broker we went with out of Chicago that let you do online options. We was like, "Ooh, we could do it online." Like that
Yeah,
changed the game. And then you had Robinhood come with commission-free trade. Like so, and the invention of smartphones. Now you can trade from your phone. And so you're right, the barriers have just collapsed and gotten
yeah.
so much easier for people to get into it. So I really appreciate that. Anything you want to say or share that we didn't cover today?
No, I appreciate you making the Power Trades University available. It has the possibility to change people's life. They just need to let it do it.
Well, thank you. And I gave you your flowers on our next level call, but I want to give them to you again here is I appreciate you. I appreciate you starting all those conversations in the next level forum, chiming in the regular forum and trading community and answering people's questions. It's a blessing to have positive people that are willing to help others once they learn. Because sometimes we learn something and then we leave, but it's a
Yeah,
blessing to have people learn and stay and now give back and also help other people try to rise up. So I appreciate you.
it is a community. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for being on here today. And yeah, I appreciate you, Sherri.
Thank you.